Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Jobity. I'm the Brilliance Unveiler and Leadership Elevation Strategist for women and host and creator of Limitless Leaders Summit, designed for women ready to break barriers, manifest their dreams, and own their power. I am so passionate about women elevating in their professional lives, expanding how they see themselves in the world around them, and evolving so they can shed what no longer serves them and truly shine in their brilliance. Because the truth is, the possibilities are endless when we are in our highest expression and finally take the reins of our lives so we can become the unapologetic, limitless leaders we truly are. Our incredible speaker today is Amara Emuwa. Hi, Amara.
Hi, Natalie.
All right, so let's hear more about Amara. Amara Emuwa is a PhD and have a lot of letters after her name. Certified executive leadership transformation coach with a great passion for leading authentically. An ardent believer in what is possible, Amara describes herself as a growth facilitator and is driven to erase excuses in human psyche. Amara works with executives and leaders to embrace authenticity, overcome excuses to lead with heart, and results that grow influence and deepen impact. As a former HR exec of a Fortune 500 company and a principal consultant, Amara has had multiple corporate development roles across various industries and cultures. Amara's mission is to support organizations and individuals in their journey to growth. She's the author of The Truth Behind Excuses, Underperformance Explained, and speaks on the psychology behind excuses and leading from the core of excellence. All right. So our theme with Amara today is bursting excuses so your limitless self can flourish. Amara, what I want to ask you first is, how did you get into all this leadership development work that you do? What was your journey to get here?
Thank you, Natalie, for putting this summit together, and thank you for having me. My journey, like I said in the bio that you just read, started with my role in corporate HR within corporate organizations. And when I was in that role, I was exposed to the dynamics and the challenges of organizational leadership. I also noticed what it takes for individuals in those organizations to actually thrive and move to those top C-suite roles. So as I took a break from corporate work to face family and then return into helping organizations, I asked myself a critical question. How can I help leaders? And what do I have to help leaders? And I realized that my strength while I was working was in nurturing and supporting emerging leaders. And so that space became a natural space for me to thrive as a person. And that's what took me to PhD, to understand more, to study more about organizational leadership. And when I got into the PhD program, I embraced the authentic leadership model. It has become my passion ever since to help individuals and organizations to embrace that authenticity, to lead with the heart, lead with the strength that they have, and to understand what gaps exist so that they can use their strength to overcome those gaps.
I love that. And I love that you're getting more passionate as you're saying that. It's real. And I understand that. It's funny, authenticity is actually my top value.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, Amara, what makes authentic leadership so poignant for you?
So in the study of organizational leadership, I was exposed to different theories, right? Different models of leadership. And there's the thing about authentic leadership is that it forms a foundation that I could see these other models built upon. And so for me, became, and I usually say is like, oh, it's more than an aha moment. It's more like an
A
epiphany, right?
revelation.
Yeah, it's more like an epiphany. Like, oh my God, everything can thrive Every leader can grow. You could actually embrace any other model, but your foundation will be this authenticity that builds upon your unique qualities, right? It helps you to dig deep within yourself. Not only do you need to understand and know who you are, you also understand what values support who you are and
Yeah.
how those values would help you thrive as a leader. And every other thing, whether it is accountability, whether it is relationship building, every other thing becomes, and that's what I call the core of excellence. I say I speak on the core of excellence. Authentic leadership helps leaders build that core of excellence. The analogy is like an athlete who needs to build a core for whatever sport. It does not matter what sport, right? Football, track, soccer, whatever sport you need to do, the first thing coaches get you to do is to build your core. And that's what authentic leadership does. It helps leaders build that core from which they can spring, and be whatever type of leader they want to be. So it helps leaders build strong foundation and give them the moral compass to move forward.
What you're saying really
Mhm.
resonates to me because I'm actually a big believer, in authentic leadership. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the effective model for leadership. Really, that's my opinion. But as we're talking here about limitless leaders, when
Mhm.
I'm how you're describing authentic leadership to me, so my like sort of like don't say definition, my feeling about limitless leadership, and I'll say more in
Mhm.
my talk, but it's
Mhm.
about this expansive, authentic, um, impactful, powerful, kind of leader, without, so to our, we haven't gotten here yet, but to our topic about excuses, where
Mhm.
there are no narratives and things that are holding that leader back. I'm just curious and I want your I know it maybe not be a word you've used, but I want your impression of what to you looks like limitless leadership. And this could be for an executive, it could be for an entrepreneur, because we have both audiences present in this summit. So what do you see as limitless leadership, and what are the values or the traits of that?
So one of the things, that's that's a really deep question, but one of the things that I do in my programs, whether it's the masterclass or the workshop, is to get people to pause and give me a description of the vision they see of themselves. So that's an exercise I call the visioning and anchoring, right? So in that vision, whether you close your eyes or your eyes are wide open, it does not matter. I need you to describe to me what you're seeing, who you are seeing, because that vision does not have challenges. When you have that vision, it has no walls, right? It has no limits, to use the theme. It has no limits, right? When you see yourself, whether you see yourself standing before a large audience in your high heel and or whatever power suit, it has no limit. You have already reached there without considering the saboteur voices, without looking at the walls that you need to escape, without thinking about the help you do not have, without thinking about the education or the letters behind your name that you do not have. So you've already seen yourself there. And that's a powerful image. And that's your authentic self. So one of the tools that I teach in overcoming excuses is being able to have that vision clearly, describe it, hold it, anchor it. Because once you have it anchored, when the challenges, and there will be, don't get me wrong, there will be, and when those voices come, you're going to use that picture. I have already seen it. Everything is created twice according to Covey, right? And so you've already created it,
Yep.
and so you're working towards it. So
Now it's
that's a
about
powerful
manifesting
image.
it.
Yes. Yes. So
And
that's
I
a
would use
powerful image. Mm.
I love that you said that. And that's so pivotal and important, like you're saying, because we have to even be able to imagine what well, it's she audience here,
Mm.
she looks like, that version of ourselves that is, yes, like you just said, it's a vision. It's a vision that doesn't have to be held back by anything in our brain, our narratives. And what I would say is, so having the vision is the one thing, but also then learning how to embody that version of herself, right?
And that's
How
where
does
it
she
becomes, yeah.
how does she
That,
become that? Right.
I usually tell a story, and I mean, I can tell the story right here that like I said, that when I decided to go back to school to do a PhD, I got to school the first cohort orientation. We had a session in school a week. The whole of that first week, I did not understand a single thing. And I went to this program with a distinction in MBA. So it's not like I had no strong foundation, but I understood nothing. I have to be honest with you. The people that came to that class had done their research beyond writing my essay and being accepted. I knew nothing else, right? All the big words were going from one professor to the other. All the statistical formulas were going from one whatever. I knew nothing. I left very depressed. In the flight back home, I was crying and I said, Amara, it's not going to work. There's no need. Like, this is not going to work, right? It's better to end it at the beginning than to drop off halfway. They already said that wanted like 60%, only wanted graduates
Wow.
finishes the PhD. So you might as well hold up on that to say that a lot of people can't finish it. So you're one of them. But there was that image. There was that image of who I am, that I have already seen what I do with that degree and how that doesn't define me, but it complements me. It complements me, it completes me, it strengthens me, it gives me the tools I need to operate in the space that I want to. And so that image of my successful self came back in, and that was it.
And that made you not quit.
And that made me not quit. And after that day, I have had knocks and knocks, and because that image is still there, as I speak to you, that image is part of the reason we're having this conversation today.
I
And so,
love that testimony. That because it's real and like so. Wow. I hope ladies, that you're listening, you're hearing that there is a version of you, and this is some of the things I say in my landing page copy of people when they register. Like there's a version of you waiting and yearning to be birthed out. But you have to believe in that. And this is what this summit's about, Amara. It's about helping everybody, even us as we speak, reminding ourselves of who we really are, truly are when we're free and limitless, uncontainable, uncontainable, no limit, no restrictions, no conditions, no narratives, no things that make us say we have to be this
yeah.
version.
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
I honestly, this is really a good summit for women and any other person. People that participate, you can share information from this to your family members, your children, because the version of ourselves, the destiny we talk about that God has called us onto, or the universe, whatever you believe, has no limits.
There it is.
It has no limits, right? But there are challenges we encounter in the journey. And that's why I got into writing about excuses.
Let's talk about your book. No more excuses.
Yeah.
Am I saying no? The truth behind, sorry, the truth
The
behind
truth
excuses.
behind excuses.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you write that book?
Like I said, I have been working with individuals, especially young and emerging leaders, over the years. I believe that is the core of the space that I operate in. And I see people with a lot of potential. I see people who can fly and become anything. And day in, day out, they come into sessions with reasons why they are not being who I could truly see from my conversation that they could become. And over time, I started paying attention to these excuses, right? And asking myself, why are people diminishing who they are? How come people are not seeing what I'm seeing in them? And that's what led me to writing the book. I tell the story in the book as well about this group I was working with, and day in, day out, they would come in with excuses. And I started paying attention to excuses. I started researching excuses. I started, learning more, documenting excuses that I'm hearing. And excuses silences our voices. We're talking about limitless self. Excuses diminishes who we are.
Absolutely.
And it does it without the pain. Because if you feel the pain, you will do something about it. So the problem with excuses is that it silences, it diminishes you without you feeling the pain. It's like something is biting you and fanning you at the same time, so you do not feel the pain. Because it's a mask, it tends to tell you that it's protecting you from shame, that it's protecting you from
Failure.
failure. And it is not, it is actually killing you gradually. And like I
Yes.
said, it keeps diminishing you. And when you leave this place, it's like you never lived. And
Ah.
no leader
And
wants to live without that, live a life.
and here's the thing with that. Because what happens when you get, let's say, a certain season of your life and you could have done all this, but all the excuses made you not do it. What comes after that? Regret.
It is a regret. And I know nobody wants to tell the morbid story. I was sitting down in Covey's class so many years ago, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which is still a book I recommend for people.
You were in his class?
I don't get any commission for it, but
Uh,
it was a very impactful book for me. But in the class, it says, project yourself to 80 years, 85 years. You're done. Your active impact time is over. What would you regret?
mm,
And so that's what excuses would bring you to that place of regret. And from my research on excuses, excuses are based on fear, primarily three types of fear.
mm.
Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of, I usually put it directly, what people will say.
Here's the other one that I'm going to add in here because I believe this is truly true, even though I don't think the stats match it. Fear of success.
Fear of success in some ways, because when you look at some of the reasons or the excuses we give ourselves, like it hasn't been done before. Actually, right now I'm a little bit better than my parents. But is that the full potential? Like I said to my kids, why go for half you when you can get a full you?
Mm. Half you,
When,
half version of you.
yeah. Oh, mom, I can get A. Is that A plus? Is it possible? It's not like if you have the potential, if you can see yourself doing it, why not go for it? Don't go for
Mm.
half you when you can get a full you, a whole you. Don't
You know
give
what's
half you too when you can give your whole self.
right? Your whole full gosh. This is literally to the theme of what we're talking about and why this summit is in created because if we I think this is a great point you're reinforcing, Amara, is if we only could see what we were capable of, if we only had, like you said, that vision, and it was real because it's real. It's not like an imagination. One of my
Mhm,
one of my clients is so interesting. She when she was, I don't know, let's say 8 years old, a young girl,
mhm,
and she still remembers this vision of herself. And actually, I keep bringing it up because I'm like, you didn't know, but this was real. She saw, even though she had saw a vision of herself with a briefcase, because back in the that's where what she knew about it back in their briefcase, a
mhm.
little girl in a nice outfit with in a room with no windows. So I when she told me, I'm like, as an 8-year-old, you envision yourself in a room with, I'm never saying no windows, sorry, no doors, like no, like less like she could just see everything.
Yeah.
Like no door, no walls, just like all around.
Like expanse space.
Yes, yes. That when she told me, it nailed itself in my brain, and I keep going. Remember the vision, because like you can do. I could see that if you could see yourself like that at whatever old, 7, 8 years old, like you were, you could have a vision so profound. Wow. And from her journey, oh my God, like it's just like it's so mind blowing what she's already done a lot of great work. God is having her do some bigger stuff outside. But I'm saying like it was the seed was already planted in her, Amara. And because it was her vision, it's interesting. Oh my God, it's made me think like, I'm sure. Let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
Can you remember
Hmm.
any vision you had of yourself as a young girl that you meant like crazy? That's what am I thinking that for?
You know, I would say not really. So I respect people. I worked with a colleague who was going in college as a young 15-year-old, just like any one of us, and had a solid plan about how to get a first class. And I said, are you crazy? I was just going to college. I didn't think about what class I wanted to come out with, right? But so yes, some people are wired that way. Some people are later in life, or maybe people like me who needed to be exposed to things like seven habits and and understanding the laws of nature and asking yourself those questions like why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to build or envision, understand what your passion or your purpose is. So for some people it would take a
I
trigger.
agree. Because when I asked the question, I'm like, I was trying to think like, do I have one? And I don't have one. Like I have another client and another vision too. Like, so you're right. Some people have that gift of whatever, like
Yeah.
the seed has been planted from when they were really young. And
Yes.
here they are in their mature life and the seed is being birthed because it takes those seeds are so big, even though whatever, at least the ones I've experienced with these women, it takes them a whole journey to finally bring that to fruition because
Hmm.
it's such a big vision. And that they had those visions when they were so young blows my
Yeah.
mind. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a, but, when I had my first business in language management, I started to have a really big vision.
You started to have, that's what I'm saying. And this exposure was in my very first job, right? That's when I started learning about this. What are your values? Trying to understand who I am, define who I am and what I'm here for. And so in my class, again, I said this, it doesn't matter if you knew this 10 years ago, if you found out 50 years ago, if you are actually finding that vision today in this class, it does not matter. Important thing is that you're able to have that vision clearly.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be flaky. It should be, you can describe it in words. I can say to you, give me 3 words that describe what you see. And then I can go into detail sometimes in the coaching session after the masterclass, and I say, what were you wearing? What were you saying in that vision? Who were you talking to? So those kind of things help you have clarity about the
Yep.
vision of your successful self. And that is your authentic self. Like I said,
And I
that's
would call it
self.
your limitless self too.
Yeah, your limitless self. And that is the self that can overcome. And that is the self you were sent here to be.
All right, girl, we track it, we track it. So here's what I want us to talk about for the listeners who are going, okay, I have this vision, I
Mm-hmm,
see it, but all the reasons why, the narratives, the conditioning, the imposter syndrome, the
mm-hmm,
second guessing, but can I'm not that whatever smart or that brilliant or that competent, expert, whatever
mm-hmm,
the words might be that they might be thinking right now as
mm-hmm.
they may see a vision or have a vision or want to believe in a vision, but then you call it excuses, but whatever you want to call it, those
Yeah.
noises that
Mm-hmm,
keep us stuck or plateaued. What would
mm-hmm.
you say to that woman?
I would say to the woman, have you thought about when those voices come? When do you hear those voices? And what did they say? The reason that is because, like I said, those voices act on something. They act on fear. They act, if you say, I don't have the competence, it's a fear of failure.
Or fear of
Whatever
being
excuse.
judged? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fear of being judged, right? So I would say to you, silence the voices. But before you can silence the voices, you need to be completely aware of who you are and the situations that induce those voices. And so I talk about self-awareness on 3 levels.
Mm.
First, awareness is the limitless self. Who is
Mm.
that limitless self? can we find the limitless self? The second awareness is when does this limitless self start shaking in the path? When? What kind of situations bring this? What
The
thoughts? Something.
unsteadiness, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us is like past experience. And like I said, a whole lot of women will be encountering have gone through so many things,
Yeah, hard
endured
things.
so
Yeah.
many things. And so sometimes we are stuck in the past. I usually say that your past should not hold you captive. So that's one, I've tried it before. I hear that. I've tried it before. I have done this before. It didn't work. That is fear. Your
Yeah.
past should not hold you. So we
And
explore those feelings and thoughts and what behavior it leads you to. Like I said, it diminishes who you are. And if you can say to yourself, I tell myself I've succeeded on this. Okay, so if those thoughts come about one that I remind the voice of the one that I have succeeded in, and how if I succeeded in that, I am going to succeed in this.
yeah.
So again, that's what I would say. Understand who you are. Understand the voices, what induces those voices. That's what you need to pay attention to. Once you pay attention to what triggers the voices, those voices they'll
The quiet.
they'll quieten. Other voices will come up, by the way.
Yeah.
But as this quietens, you've overcome that. So you move on. And I think that's how we're placed to be here because I usually say to God, I said, as soon as I jump one hurdle, you raise the bar.
More
But that
greater
that
challenge. But
yeah, that's
something I've said in another interview, because it's something I'm living out myself, is
mhm,
when the challenges come and I'm like, why, right? But to see them not as happening to me, happening
mhm,
for me. Because at
yes.
the end of the day, everything is meant to either reveal something about ourselves, to help us strengthen us in some way that we may not be aware of. And after we go through that challenge, that experience, that hard thing, we come out the other side and we're different for the better. Even like I had somebody share a story, a speaker share a story that so hard, but at the end they look back and they're like, that's why that happened, so I could learn XYZ. So that point, and I want to say that, talking about the past version of ourselves or letting the past
Mhm,
define us, because when we let the past define us, we're thinking that we're still that person from the past too, but we're not. We're older, we're wise. Every day we're different, a different form of ourselves,
mhm,
a more evolved version of ourselves every day.
yeah. The question of the past also comes up a lot in my class, and I'm like, there are lessons from your past. Don't get me wrong. There are lessons. There's growth that you can take from your past, but do not be a slave to it. Do not be, even if it's success, like you said, right? Do not stay in the past success because you can still succeed more. There's still more. There is still more to be done. There is still more land to conquer. There is just still more you can do, more impact you can have, more influence. There are still, so even staying is not every past that is negative. It could be past success. Don't be a slave to it.
Yep. Amara, how do you relate excuse making
Mhm.
to authentic leadership? Like, how do those come together? Or if you want to call it limitless leadership.
Does it even come together? When I work with senior leaders on authentic leadership, this is how I tell them this. I said, excuses and authentic leadership are like two parallel lines. They're not supposed to meet, except that they meet in human beings. Ordinarily, they shouldn't meet because authenticity is about responsibility, it's about relationship, it's about, and then excuse is about shying away from responsibility. It's actually severing responsibility. And it is about lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not supposed to meet, but they do meet in human beings, right? And so authentic leadership should be an antidote for excuse making.
Ah,
Yes, because when you know who you are, what you're capable of doing, even your weaknesses, because authenticity is about first self-awareness. Fundamental dimension of authentic leadership is first self-awareness. Before we go into things like relational transparency or what you would call vulnerability, like being transparent to people that you relate with, that so they see who you are and build connection. Because when we try to cover who we are, again, you're asking me how excuses and authentic leadership is. Remember, excuses tends to cover us, right?
You said you used the word mask earlier.
Mask, yeah. That's the word I use in my book as well. It's a mask we hide under, but it tells us it's protection from shame and failure and things like that. So authenticity tells you to take away those masks,
And
but it
show up as your
helps
true
you
self.
remove those marks so that your true self can come out. And that true self is what connects to people who can help you, deliver on the dreams you have, and who can also support you in your journey. When you put that mask like everything is okay, you're not going to get the help you need. And then
Right.
you're still not thriving. And another thing authenticity does is to give you a moral compass by you first defining what values define you and which you stand, on which you move, on which you pursue your purpose, right? And so you know you're not going to compromise who you are. And so that is one of the ways that authenticity helps you overcome excuses, because when it tells you it can't be done, you say no. I already know that one of my values is excellence, or my value is this. It drives what I do, right?
Yeah.
Perseverance, for instance, is one of my values. And so I will persevere. Like I say, I always use athletics, the runner. If you run a marathon, you know that perseverance is what gets you to the end. It cannot be speed, right? And it's not
Right.
even stamina. It is perseverance. And so if you define what would aid you in this journey as your values, that would also help you. When you fall, you get up and say, I got not before, I'm moving on, right? And so another dimension of authentic leadership is what we call it helps you deal with biases, by the way. Let me just put it that way. It's like, what are the propensities I have, and how would I manage that as I lead my team or as I navigate my life, right?
Mm.
There is nobody who do not have biases. We do
Right.
have.
They could be subconscious, but they're there.
Yes, but it is there. So it helps you be aware of all these things that can drag you down. And it helps you overcome all the reasons why you would not succeed. Authenticity is that fuel, is that how would I put it? Is if you have wings to fly, is that wind behind your wings, right?
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter whether it's a storm, whether it's a hurricane, whatever the weather is, or that you have that foundation, like I say, the core of excellence, that core on which you operate from. So
I love that.
that's how authenticity and excuses are related, in the sense that one is what helps you deal with this other one.
Interesting, really interesting. Amara, anything else you want to share about your expertise in leadership as a whole, limitless leadership here, or even about, women owning their power?
I would say that although I coach both men and women, I think that there is something in women that they need to tap into, and I have already alluded to it, which is pain does not stop us. And that pain can be physical, it can be emotional. And there is something God has placed in us women. I know that all of you listening to me have not gone through childbirth, but believe me, it is a painful process. But that pain results in joy. There must be a reason God gave that strength to women. And so
Mhm.
do not let pain of any sort. And I use that as an example, right?
Let me
Of,
be clear, Amara. Are you talking about the pain of childbirth?
yes, I'm saying that we have the strength to overcome pain. And I'm using that pain as just one example that there is something in women, there's something we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that pain could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be, just know that you are equipped to deal with it. Again, I go back to have a vision of who you are and do not let that. I will ask this question, if we're coming to the end of this, I will ask this question. When was the last time you allowed the vision of your authentic self help you overcome a challenge? Think about
Mm.
it.
What would she do? How would she
What would she
respond?
do? What will the she in you do? Yeah. What will she
Yeah,
do?
I love that. I love that. So, okay, you ready to go get into the fire round?
Oh, yeah.
All right. The first question, do you have a word theme of the year? And if so, what is it?
Oh, yes, I do. Every year I do have a word theme. This year is go forward.
Go forward. Oh, I love that. Okay. What's one limit you've once believed in that you've now completely shattered?
Say that again.
What's one limit you
Mhm,
once believed in that you've
mhm.
now completely shattered?
That I couldn't write my book, or that book is not possible. I'm in my second book right now.
Here we go. Okay, in 1 to 3 words, how would you describe your leadership presence?
Effervescent, real, authentic.
Definitely. What's a favorite quote or song title you'd like to share that has been instrumental in your life?
Um, the song part would be, let me skip the song part. My
It can be
favorite
a
quote of,
quote.
yeah, it's my favorite quote of all time is the mind once stretched can never go back to its original form. It
Say
can
it
never
again.
go. The mind once stretched can never go back to that tiny, small size it was before, right? So the mind once stretched, your idea, whatever, you're like once stretched, it can never go back to.
I've never heard that. I like it. I love it. Um, who do you see as the limitless leader in the public eye, past or present?
Who do I see as a limitless leader in
Interestingly,
the
this question has been probably the hardest one of the lot.
Who do I see as a limitless leader, past or present? Uh, I would like to say opera.
uh,
I
okay.
would I would like to say opera, but at the same time, past or present, my role model of a leader is Jesus because he's a servant leader. So
Oh,
um, it's a tough question. Honestly, it's a tough question.
and
But nobody can be
I've
like,
realized that that's the toughest one of the lot for everybody, I think. Okay, I love, but Jesus is a model of a limitless leader. Absolutely. Um, if you could gift every woman one belief about herself, what would
mm,
that be?
you are enough.
And that's come up. That's what's come up most often. That phrase, "You are enough." It's interesting. Uh,
You are enough. I would say it is possible, but you have what it takes. You do have what it takes.
okay. Last one.
Mhm.
What's a practice you do often that helps you embody your limitlessness?
I pray.
Ah, okay. Amara, tell us about your free gift.
Oh, okay. So for listeners, you will be getting a free link to my masterclass on overcoming from excuses to excellence. You will dig deep, dig deeper into everything that I have said here in that masterclass. It would guide you in going through your visioning and anchoring and identifying those excuses and those voices and what you can do about them, including being present. It would things like you are, it's not peculiar. What you're going through is not peculiar to you. How did others overcome this? It's not comparison, it's inspiration. And so though you will be getting a link to the
Download.
masterclass,
Yeah.
and that masterclass will give you all the tools for a limitless life.
Woohoo! Love it. Okay, y'all just heard her, and you heard her passion. You heard her, you saw her authentic self show up there big time. Grab that gift. Amara, thank you for being one of our speakers for Limitless Leaders Summit.
Thank you, Natalie, for having me.
You are so welcome. It was a pleasure. Everyone, see you at the next session. For now,
Bye.
bye.